here's the compelling aspect of it. Here's the compelling aspect of it. Paul doesn't say, oh, no, of course not. I wouldn't even think of that, Agrippa. Not at all. No, I was just doing a little theoretical history, just a little biographical piece, just a little intellectual investigation. No. I can imagine, I don't know if he had chains on his hands or not, but he cast his gaze around the crowd, and as he cast his gaze around the room, and perhaps with the lifting of his arm, he said, short time or long, I pray God that not only you, but all who are listening to me may become what I am, except for these chains. In other words, it's as if he would take his manacled arms and sweep his listeners into the kingdom. Why? Because the love of Christ, he says to the Corinthians, compels me that one died for all. And with a sweep of his hands, he would welcome them in. And then look at how it finishes, just like the average Sunday service, just like the average chapel service, actually. It's so very distressing if you're a preacher, how quickly everything evaporates and goes. How as if somehow or another you had given a speech and you were awaiting the approbation of your listeners, their applause. Could it ever be? And so they all stand up. The picture I have in mind there is Mrs. Brown. If you remember, Judi Dench played Queen Victoria. The movie was called Mrs. Brown. You remember nobody could eat a meal because every time she put her fork down, everybody had to put their fork down, because if the Queen's not eating, you're not eating. It was a wonderful scene, especially in that dining room. And so you have it here. The king rose, and with him the governor and Bernice and those sitting with him. That's it. It's finished. We're leaving, and it is finished, and we are leaving. But here we go. And they left the room while talking with one another. They said, and look at what they said. This man is not doing anything that deserves death or imprisonment. This is like, I imagine him like Mr. Bean, you know. And Agrippa said to Festus, the man could have been set free if he had not appealed to Caesar, blah, blah. One of the commentators says this. Listen to this. And this, I'll stop here. The imperfect tense describes the eager conversation of the dignitaries about Paul's wonderful speech. What? The imperfect tense describes the eager conversation of the dignitaries about Paul's wonderful speech. What wonderful speech? It was a tremendous piece of declaration, but it wasn't ultimately a speech. It was a clear, kind, compelling, persuasive, urgent invitation to believe in the hope of Israel as conveyed in the gospel. And so it is. The sermon comes to an end. It's like the love song of J. Alfred Prufrock, you know, and you know, the people walking out going, yes, shall I part my hair behind? Do I dare to eat a peach? I shall wear white flannel trousers and go down and walk along the beach at Montecito. What was that all about? And here they come and here they go with talk of Michelangelo and the dangling conversation and the superficial sighs on the borders of our minds. My dear young friends, you are being trained here in such a wonderfully fine place. I hope that one day you will have a chapel so that I can speak in it. And I can come back and enjoy the privilege of seeing another generation convinced that the message of the gospel is historical, rational, and empirical, and going out to tell that same message in a way that is clear and that is kind and that is compelling. Musicians, where are you? Where are you? Please come.